Well, they can't see anything.
Is it working now?
I think so.
So I can take it.
Well, you better because this one's not. I can't get it on.
She's right here.
Yes. There's a green button on it.
Green light in there.
Oh, that helps. Okay. Now, where is the child? Right there. Where? Where?
It's straight against the rail, just straight.
Big red horse.
Yeah.
Which one? She in a jacket. Oh, okay. Good. Oops. Lost her. Well, they don't have a green light anymore. Hey, hey. Let me get you.
It's clearing his nose.
Those clearing
Oh,
seems to be
you know
catching.
that's not doing very well at all. It's gonna get crowded.
Why did you fall off?
It looked like her saddle was on the ground.
She okay?
It was just a
saddle
little.
slipped.
Ah!
Her saddle slipped off.
The horse was really irritated. He had his
Yes, humiliated
ears
horse.
way back. Now we know he's humiliated. Mac's pretty, isn't he?
Hmm?
Mac is pretty.
Is that the horse?
Mm-hmm.
Kate's on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that's all I can see. I can't see anybody else. Do you get points off when you fall off?
Yes. Particularly when you land under the horse's front feet. It's another lesson in bailing out.
Yes.
Slow, slow, hands wide. Good. Good, okay. Let's do it again. What? Insurance backyard. You'll steal him if you want to. She lives in that trailer. Okay, now I want everyone to your working truck. I want you to take that again. Ride it just like you did the first time. Go. Go, Jacqueline.
start serving, and then when
I
Nancy
think
gets here,
Laura's
we'll
decided to go on a
stop and say
shopping
the prayer.
spree.
Okay?
No, because we moved all the boxes.
Oh, you all are sitting down?
Yes, we are.
Where'd you think
As
you went?
you see.
Oxygen. Then I'll be dead.
You looked a little lost. Just comes in and
Get some for yourself.
looks surprised that this is actually happening. Thanksgiving?
Oh, I have to come in and crack the whip on all of you. Do this and do that, and then you're all of a sudden eating. Not like, where is the hostess? All right. Come on, Larry, we'll say our prayer.
Order some oxygen.
Bless you, bless
I
you.
didn't know
You
Dylan's
can
was
untie
open
it.
today.
If you were a Martha Stewart follower, you would know you untie that.
Martha Stewart, Mr. Michelle.
Larry, why don't you pass down that line?
That's all there is to it.
I want that.
She makes eating she makes eating more difficult than me.
Okay, well, I'm thinking, how about if we say the Lord? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
by the X, that bad station, and they were cocaine. Cocaine, those people have cocaine.
Oh,
Good thing.
well, I guess that'll get you going.
Yeah.
Sorry.
From the time she could walk almost, she'd get a Coke this big.
That's my coffee. That used to, until I started drinking coffee, that's what I was having. Sure. And I still love it. Nothing tastes better in the morning than a cold, cold Coke.
I thought Ellen would break you of that.
I drink coffee now. I gotta have orange juice. I like it. I have cran grape.
Gotta have some honey.
Cran apple. I like cran grape. You gotta love grape. Yeah, I don't like it. Well, there you have it. Do we use salt and pepper on the thing?
Yes, we
Yeah.
do.
No, we use it.
Here you go.
But here it is, if you want it. Oh, you got everything is so good. Is it? I don't even know where to start. On your plate.
I usually start with the,
Let's see. That's around my first two. See? I added no salt to that dressing. Oh, I think it's the gravy.
yeah, it is.
How about the rolls? I never got one of those.
Ellen didn't either.
He tried to
I
get
guess
me
it's
to
that
get
time.
Don't get one.
I didn't get any sweet potato pie.
You haven't
I mean,
Yeah, a couple of them.
what?
He likes his sweet cake like that.
Ask you to, up there, spread me out just a little bit there right now.
We probably have some Chinese stuff.
You want everything right here? He's just got to get out of our house. Between dog smoke, rain. Yeah. Well, Matt, the first month that I lived in this new house, every night, just like that, there was a cat.
my bedroom at all.
And then my bedroom had mold in it from water damage, so every night.
People who don't worry about it. It's just
What
kids.
color your babies on top of the phone?
Yeah, that's more.
That's what's wrong with
My
me.
mother did it to me, but it was on a hood of a pickup truck in the winter time. It was really bad.
This is what's
A
wrong
little
with
sleet hit my little face, you know. It was, they probably, Robin and Kim were probably here when she first got pregnant and went out to the races and watched James run and, you know, and scared the baby. That's it. Racing stupid. She kinda liked to crash and burn.
She still
I know
doesn't
that.
stop.
Yeah, she
You
does.
must
She still
be
goes.
kidding me.
No, she goes to every one of them.
God, I could have died when I turned around and Mother wasn't on that escalator with me.
Oh, mother.
I'm down there, look, holding her pocketbook.
Mother.
Just holding her pocketbook like
With that
she's looking around
grimace
someplace
on her
else.
face.
Yes.
You know, I liked it when Lindsay and Larry got her own little puppy. The meanest dog from hell.
Little cricket. Little
Pocket.
I mean,
But-
if they had have looked all over the country, they couldn't have found.
Well, and then
more
we lost
ferocious
the dog. The
You
dog ran
lost
away.
it, my
Yeah,
friend.
we lost it. And we never thought of this. She said, "Are you gonna make signs for it, like Matthew did for his dog?"
You betcha, Rita. We'll make them.
Yeah, I've gotta make signs.
I did. I put
Lost
them.
Black dog.
I
Oh
did.
no, she had to watch it. Have room on the hotel.
Put
She
out of the 10 signs, I
and those
put 2
kids
up
went out
here.
with signs up.
I put 2 around the neighborhood and the 8 in Tulsa. I figured I did my duty.
Oh God, that dog got lost. Oof. Well, we couldn't keep it. She had little bloody nubs. I mean, it was the health dog, Cricket. Wasn't it?
Oh, and little kids could come up and pet it and everything, and then it'd turn around and just right on her ankle, like that. She's going.
She'd be walking and she'd just kick it. She'd be walking and just kick it. It's not. I mean, little bitty mouth, sharp razor teeth. Oh God. And just brand new married, and she says, "You gotta save those boxes." And I said, "Yeah, yeah." And then she came back through and she says, "You know, Larry, you have to save all your erections. You have to save every one of them. You never know when you're gonna need them." She's talking about the directions in the iron box, and Larry's going like, "Oh God, she knows."
She knows when I pulled out my shirt tail.
Oh God, she knows. Gotta save all your erections.
Yeah.
And then, you know, she can, those hearing aids, she picks up the kids, when they were little and did the Walkmans. Oh, yeah. Sit there in the back seat and all of a sudden, and Matt'll just look over with his headphones on. I think she can hear that.
Oh, yeah.
She was picking up something the other day. She was
said,
hearing music. Kinda turn down that music.
There was no music
Oh,
going.
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
think
she said it once.
She only said it once. She said the radio was on louder than it needed to be and it woke her up.
It woke her up.
There was no radio on because I got up and I left and she was laying at the house and there was nobody down there and the kids were
I
out.
thought that was her anxiety about her trip.
She
We
did it
were-
when we were here. She told me to go tell Bobby to turn down his radio.
Yeah.
When was that at your house? Yeah, that's when.
Yeah, we had that deal, and I worked with her for a month, and finally I just came. She'd go
nailed it
back,
down.
and she said, Matt's radio's up. He's at school, you know. And I took her upstairs, and I said, it's not on, it's not on. And so she kept up with it about a month. So I get his radio, and I take it down to her room. and set it in the chair, you know, and I show her the plug, and I say, Rita, it's not on. Oh, okay. The next morning, she comes and she says, that radio's playing in there.
No speakers.
Oh my God. Oh my God, I can't win. I can't win. So,
No, but
Well, you know, there
What's
is
gonna
a
happen when
very
she gets
good
really old?
possibility. There is a possibility that Rita, and she's got some of those big fillings in her teeth back there. There's a possibility that she is hearing music.
Well, no, it's funny because
There's a
we were going on a
possibility
road
that she
trip.
is.
We were on a trip and I was listening to my Walkman and I had it turned down like real low. Okay? And Rita just sitting there, so you go, and there's no music playing in the car. She just, I like this song. And I'm just sitting,
She gets worse.
and what we figure is maybe her hearing aids are picking them up.
It very well could be.
Here's a storm.
here at the house with the lights, she's a hoot when the electricity goes off.
Otherwise.
Oh, Lordy!
oh,
What happened to
Lord.
the lights? She's
What
walking
was
around.
that?
Oh,
It's
Lord, I'm
nice
glad I
and
have my
candle.
clothes on.
Huh?
Oh, Lori, I'm glad I have my clothes on.
Yes.
Oh, Lordy, I'm glad I have my
She's, oh, the lights are out, I'm glad I have my clothes on. And it was dark and we couldn't wonder, why in the hell did she say that?
Oh, she was taking a bath the other
And the
yeah,
other
that's
night the
when you
lights
did.
went out and she was in the bathtub. And she gets in there, she gets that water up here and she gets that jacuzzi going. And to step in on her in the bathtub is just an event that you have to see. Because she gets that jacuzzi going and the legs are just, you know, what, 3
Watch
foot
the
long.
lights just beat
And
you
so it's a
away.
long tub. And so the feet are free floating. And they're giving it, they're going like this because
She's getting whipped around in the
and those
bathtub.
little feet are just bobbing up and down. She's got those little elbows up there. Well, the lights went out and I immediately ran back there because I knew she was alone. And Larry's getting candles and lights and by the time I get back there, she's already yelling, Nancy, no fibbing, turn those lights on.
Now, this ain't funny. Turn those lights on.
No fibbing, this is not funny. And I'm now in the bathroom, but she can't tell it. So she's still screaming at me because it's dark and she can't hear me. Nancy! Well, I thought, oh, I hate to touch her, but I'm gonna have to touch her. But, because she'll drown, you know, I mean, because it's dark and she can't see in there.
Scary.
Yes.
With all those
And-
bubbles.
Well, I knew we were either gonna run into each other or I was gonna have to touch her, but you could hear her scream all the way through the neighborhood when here she was climbing out of that bathtub.
Well, she could
By
give
then,
up doing that.
Larry brought me the flashlight, and then she realized that we weren't teasing her. Why would she think we would turn the lights off on her to just be mean?
Because Buddy grew up with it.
Right. No telling how many lights she had
Red
turned out.
frogs.
Yeah, I never knew what she was.
Well, what is that with going to bed, buddy? I can never even barely mention it's time to go to bed. You don't have to tell me when to go to bed. I know when to go to bed.
I know when to go to bed.
Is that
Now,
just
a lot of that
control?
stemmed from Dolly. Dolly used to force her to go to bed. It's time to go to bed, Rita. You go to bed now. And Rita,
Well,
and
it fires her up.
Oh,
To
yeah,
this
she
day,
gets
it
all upset
fires
about
that
it.
woman.
Dolly fires her up.
Dolly fires her up.
Yeah, she does.
Dolly fires her up.
back when we were, well, I don't remember, I don't know, back when we lived out on the farm out east of Guthrie out here. And Orland used to be over there all the time. And Burton Farmer, the kid, used to come over there. And I was not there, I don't know where I was or where it was, but anyway, Rita had, Edith had told
I think he's on the
Rita
phone.
to go tell Orland to get away, he was doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing. Tell him to go home. And so Orland talked Rita into the fact that he didn't know the way to go home. And he'd go home if she'd show him the way. So she's going down through the pasture, you know, trying to show him.
Telephones and stuff.
Well, he got her down there
Oh, so
about where
there's
those
a hair-
old railroad tracks we used to go through there. And then he run off, and he, and there was Rita.
Oh, God.
Yeah, me.
I got my butt spanked, Orland got his butt spanked for taking Rita down to the pasture and getting her lost, and it was 2 hours later before anybody found her. But she didn't know her way back home.
Oh my God.
Here's Skippy.
And I
You know,
wasn't even there, I didn't even know Orland. I guess Burton probably.
Here's Skippy.
I can imagine Burton
Oh,
doing
here.
something like that.
What's this? What? Skippy, go to bed. Time to go to bed. No, this way. Come here. Time to go to bed. Go on to bed. Come here. Go on to bed. There you go.
Oh, you gotta growl.
She, yeah, she goes, gets her little finger, it's a little crooked, and she goes, go to bed. Go to bed. And that dog from a dead sleep goes right around
He's
there.
looking down, he said, oh God.
Where is she?
You're okay. Come on, we were just drinking.
You have to go to
You
bed.
go in there, you go in there 2 minutes later, you know, and laying in there and that dog on you.
You don't come back and read his room after that.
Yeah, no you don't.
Mm.
That's correct.
See, that's why I would worry about coming to your house to have someone here. Because I know the dogs are protective of Rita. They are.
They let me in.
Yeah,
He sure
you
is.
just call him by name. Yeah, he's a real furry one.
Yeah, he lays on his back on the damn couch and sleeps.
I mean, Rye is just,
Jeffrey has,
Right.
low thyroid or something.
Jeffrey
This
has
dog
this
is-
little bulldog. And, he says that he can't even wake the dog up
Huh?
if he shows the
You wanna,
Oh, yes.
You know.
give me your,
Oh, Rye, you consider him call Rye's
Two deals?
name and he'll never
get two
move.
checks?
Well, I tell you,
Yeah, the world.
well, you know, Boston would even bite you.
Yes,
You tried to come in
yes,
when I was expecting.
yes. No, Boston was real protective.
Okay.
He was a great dog.
So when
Want
people
anything?
say that their
No.
dogs are harmless, I don't
Head
believe
on home.
Getting ready to head on
Well, you
home?
never know, they're all
Quick.
in their own
it.
territory.
Right. And if
But I've come in to pick up Rita and the dogs, they don't care.
In the hallway with me. And I'm thinking the only thing I have is a picture. My 22 that I had for 2 days is back there, and I have nothing. And the only thing I did was I screamed. I didn't scream help. I just opened my mouth and screamed. I couldn't tell you what I said. It startled him. I mean, he looked nervous, like, why would you do that? He turned and he went out the door. And I shut the door and locked it and said, well, God will take care of Rita because I'm not going out. I mean, you know, she's going to the mailbox. That's where she was headed when she opened that door, and he was heaving right there. Nancy, that carpet guy's here, and away she goes. And then I go, ah! And he's like, why would you scream? And he turns and he walks away. He doesn't say anything to me. He does nothing. He doesn't have good eye contact. He's not seeing what is really here.
He was going to marry the nurse.
And I shut that door and locked it and thought, God, I've locked Rita out. Oh, well. I mean, God will take care of her. I'm not going out. She's on her own. And he got in his car and he drove off, and here the sheriff, they're all arriving now. And they stop him as he's going out the door. First time they got a glimpse of the guy over a 3-day period. And they stop him and they say, well, what you doing, bud? And he says, well, I came to get the girl I'm gonna marry. And they said, oh, who is that? And he says, well, she's a nurse, and she drives a blue Volkswagen. Well, that was me. I had that little blue Volkswagen. And he was Looney Tunes,
And they said, she lives in Norman now,
Said
so
yes.
we're gonna take you to her.
Robin was her name. He
Yeah.
said, I came to marry the girl that I love, and her name is Robin, and she's a nurse, and she drives a blue Volkswagen. And that was it too. When I called the police, I snuck out through the garage and was peeking out that window, and he was out there rubbing on my blue Volkswagen. He was rubbing on the fenders. I said, God, he's here, God, he's here. The next thing I know, Rita goes out that front door and there they stand. I mean, my life just, well, I was immobilized. There wasn't anything I could do.
Isn't it amazing that a person like that could drive a car?
Oh, they never trouble driving a car.
I mean,
Perfectly.
And he's just
Probably a lot better
looking
driver
for
than you are.
Well, and his story was, he was
Riley
an
can't
oil
do
guy,
bedroom door.
and he was a prominent businessman. You see, we moved out in here in the 80s, when all that bust had happened. And, well, he got, his mother said that he just got withdrawn, and he started not bathing and not not.
We're just playing it by ear. I have to call Dad in the
And
morning
he'd be gone for long periods
and
of time.
find out when he wants to.
And then he was supposed to be on some medicine, and he wasn't. They didn't take him to jail. I mean, they
Maybe I'll
took him
call
to.
him tonight. Find out what he wants to do.
No, he did not.
They could have lunch with him.
But you know, you
I
just
don't know.
there's 2 sheriffs out here, period, in the county. So, like I was telling them, if they're in Choctaw, you don't have anybody. I mean, they're an hour away.
And then on top of that, you got Sheriff Bob, and he's got a brain about this big.
Yes.
Sheriff Bob, yes, he's the one that let the prisoner go at Baptist Hospital because
Oh my God.
he knew that he had found Jesus. Here's this crazy man that they've got shackled to the wheelchair, okay? And he he unhooks him.
He escorted him up
And
to the psych ward, and he undid that man because the man said he was calmed down now.
Not the same guy that came out here, but a
Yeah,
different guy.
this was a patient
He's
at Baptist
he's about
Emergency Room.
6'9". Just
I mean-
humongous guy.
Several firemen and several policemen brought that man in, and he was just a mess. And he was on PCP. Oh, and I mean the strength he had. Well, Sheriff Bob, he was in leather restraints and had a little check with him, transporting up to the site. And Bob undid him. That man had on nothing but a pair of boxer shorts.
You want a cup and ice?
And he hopped off that bed, and he took off.
Didn't he bite him in the top of the head? No, he
He
bit.
took off, and this man stole a city truck.
Dump truck.
City employee, a
Dump truck.
A city employee on duty had decided to stop by and see his wife that had had surgery. Well, he left the keys in the dump truck.
I
This guy-
remember this.
This guy went down May Avenue, and
Everybody.
the oil was everywhere. There were like 40 wrecks. They were coming down that hill on May Avenue, hitting that oil. There was a huge, he ran into a brand spanking new Cadillac
Oh,
that a 16-year-old was driving.
He knocked that pole down.
He knocked the
that
pole
big
down.
light
I mean,
pole.
May Avenue was just a littered
Jam.
mess.
Yeah.
Well, he went through Dock and Pontiac down there. He cleaned out those, those little cars parked on the side of May Avenue. Mowed them out, and he came back in the emergency room again. And the way they got that man down is they took an O2 cylinder and whacked him. Bong! To put that man down.
And
he came
guess
back in the
and
second
guess
time.
what? Being that he had been arrested, he was considered a city employee at that time.
He was in
When
the
he
truck.
drove, yes, because he was
Well,
he was a county employee.
He was county property.
He was county
And
property.
so they were responsible for all of the damage that he had to do.
Oh yeah, he
And
did
the
like
damage was done by a
$40,000.
city vehicle on
Yeah,
top of that.
yeah.
I
Big
mean,
old dump truck.
between Northwest Expressway and Grand is where he stopped on May Avenue. I mean,
Looked like a salvage yard.
he just wiped that out all the way
You know
down.
those big street lights that are this big around? There's one right there on the corner of 63rd and May.
You ready?
That thing was leaning across May Avenue. People, if their car weren't hit, one was just mashed.
Yeah, that was the Cadillac.
Yeah.
But I mean, those new cars all along, it's not Doc
Oh,
and
yeah,
Pontiac, whatever they used to be, right?
Oh,
Lenny
you leave?
cleaned them out.
Oh, honey, if you get to visit,
I'm coming back.
buddy, I think we don't like
Oh, barely keep my eyes up.
Stop by and see us.
Yeah.
Talking and laughing.
I know it was laughing.
See you later, Bob.
Yeah.
Okay?
See you tomorrow. Kate's coming home early tomorrow morning.
You gonna be by tomorrow, Brenda?
When are you coming in?
I don't know if
I don't know.
Find out.
What are you
She's
looking
got
Come out
lots
to
of
Norman tomorrow night.
dance
Was not
parties
good.
on her list.
Hey,
you know.
bud.
We could do that.
And will you do that stall and
Yeah,
turn?
and a couple of
Yeah,
turns.
really, just don't eat lunch.
Bobby would probably.
You can stay here tonight with your grandmother if you want. It just depends on whatever you want to do.
I don't
No,
know,
he
stay with
needs
me
to
and
go.
Norman.
Oh,
Yeah.
and,
You get
the
something
little
quick.
girls are there, and Taylor's spending the night tonight. She's afraid she'll never see us again, so he needs to go.
She's at that stage.
Yeah.
Well, we're sorry.
I'm still.
Kate
It
will
was
be
very
home
nice to
around 10.
meet you. And you're at the shop
Yeah, we'll
tomorrow?
come out about 5 o'clock tomorrow.
Call when you get up and around.
Just take
Mom,
the keys.
I've got an
Yeah, we can come out with
address.
y'all about 5 o'clock tomorrow evening.
Give me a
I'll
call.
wash your car, then we'll go over to my house after work. They can see where I live and go out to eat.
Okay. We'll get down tomorrow.
They're in the big
We are.
You
stack.
taking everybody out to eat tomorrow night, is that what you're
Is
saying?
that what I heard, buddy?
Can't even afford my own food. Hey Nancy, bring money.
Oh, yes. We know very well bring money.
Hi, sweetie. Come and see me in spring break if you can.
Needs to take a break.
Well, I always like to tell about the doctor when I was down fishing at Valley Home Depot about
Bye, sweetie, call tomorrow.
the program down there was you got to babysit the people that probably would go to a DT shift. They put them in a room and medicate them, but they always let someone sit with them in case something did happen. You're supposed to run back and tell the nurse real quick. This guy was there. He was a doctor, and you might even know him, so I wouldn't mention any names. But he was about 6'6", probably 280, 290 pounds. Big old boy. And I guess he'd been playing with alcohol, drugs. I mean, being a doctor, he had access to everything. He really was screwed up, I guess. But he was sleeping real peacefully when they put me on duty. We've done 4-hour shifts. And he woke up and started talking to me. He was real intelligent. He was a doctor. And he's sitting on the side of the bed and we're talking, and he's talking about like he's got 2 surgeries to do tomorrow, and thinking, now wait a minute, you know. But I mean, he's calm and cool.
Yeah, but we just switched.
Yeah, but we're talking, and I said, you're really gonna do surgeries tomorrow, huh? And I haven't been there but a few days myself, you know, and I'm not real.
You know, God, you get out and you go to surgery.
Myself,
You mean I can come out a doctor?
Here we go.
What a deal. I'll not drink again.
Before, back when we were doing, had a group meeting or something, but everybody held hands and said a prayer, you know. And that was when I had the big knot in
Yes,
my
yes,
palm, you
yes,
remember
that
that?
extra head growing there in your hand.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
he had held my hand, and I noticed when we were saying the prayer that his finger had moved all around that.
Check it out.
palm. And I thought, now wait a minute, you know.
3
this was my-
centimeters by 3 centimeters. Oh, it's coming back.
Okay, but, at that time, you know, I kinda got my hand away from him. He looked at
You
it.
kind of know this group.
Yeah, and he says, I was just interested in that growth on your hand. And I said, oh, I didn't think any more about it. Well, then when we were in the room, he had woke up, been on medication, and he says, how did you get that growth on your hand? I thought, well, this guy is pretty sharp now. This was a day later, see?
You weren't thinking for a week.
And he said, let me look at it again. Well, I let him have my hand, and he looks at it, and he says, well, you really ought to get something done with that. I can probably get you scheduled in here pretty quick. Well, wait a minute, you know? And so I said, no, I like it. I'm gonna keep it.
I like this lump in my hand.
And so he sat back down and he was real quiet for a while. And he says, you know, I really don't think I'll be here. And he got up, and they had a TV mounted way up high on the wall. I mean, it's high for me. Well, he got up and bumped his head when he went to step around the bed. He looked up at that and took one arm and says, whap, and knocked that TV plumb across the room, ripped the mount off the wall and everything, you know. He says, I'm not supposed to be in here. I thought, oh, Lord.
Neither am I.
With a gorilla that's sober. That is now finally sober.
Another off of the cocaine.
And I got him. Sunday morning down.
Well, there was 2 beds in the room. He walked on around, he grabbed one of those beds and threw it about halfway across the room. Oh, man, here it comes.
Yeah, I'm getting out.
And the only way to call the nurse is go over to a telephone. Now, and he's between me and the telephone.
Yeah.
So I can't get over there. Not too smart the way they have that deal set up, but you don't expect troubles either. Well, he looked at me again, and he had a really, really wild look in his eye.
Yes, because once you see it,
He-
you know they're not seeing things quite
They're not
right. His eyes kind of go right through you.
And then he said, you know, you really ought to get something done about that hand. And he walked right over and lay down on the bed and passed back there. I called the nurse, and I get on that phone, I said, nurse, get your butt over here
You're
quick.
not gonna believe what he just did.
I'm telling you, he did. He did. He tore that TV off. See, I can't reach it.
What
Jumping.
Well, he did, that scared,
The giant is sleeping.
that scared the heck out of me, though.
You know, doesn't it make you wonder how these little bitty nurses like Nancy takes care of large
Well, you
syringes?
don't do it physically, you do it mentally.
You do it mentally.
Yeah, you don't try to rep.
Always
there was
know your
no-
way out of the room.
Yeah,
Always.
there's
Be
no
back out.
wrestling with a guy like that. And even if he'd been more my size, when you're out of your head like that, there's just no,
Ah,
Yeah, that old
At
adrenaline is about
we
10
have this
times
at
whatever you
work
could
when we have,
produce,
like,
you know?
psychos that walk in off the street and we pick them in our office. We have this special call. If there's any trouble, you pick up the phone and you call up front desk and you say, we'd like 2 glasses of water, please. And that's the signal.
Yeah.
And because you have to remain calm and you don't want them to know, so you say, we'd like 2 glasses of water.
Jesus Christ, we need 2 glasses of water!
You know, 2 glasses of water, please. And you're still going, and you know, here comes the army. You just calm.
Oh.
Is that
Oh,
right?
listen, I've
And
been
it-
in a room listening to fetal heart tones.